I recently posted a couple of lessons about slash chords. And in those lessons, I was uh, really focusing on one particular song, which is called Naima. It was written by jazz saxophonist and composer John Coltrane. So it had chords like this. But of course, slash chords aren't only in jazz, they show up in other kinds of music as well. And so I wanted to make a lesson about that and specifically talk about some examples of slash chords in the music of the Beatles, hoping that these will be familiar examples to you. The first one I want to show you is the intro to Something. So Something is in C. Something in the way she moves. Right? So that's that song. The intro starts on F, goes to E flat, and then this is G, but with D in the bass. So in time, 3, 4. And that's a slash chord. It's G with D in the bass. Why not just play plain old G? Because by putting D in the bass, you're letting the bass line lead very smoothly. So it would go F, E flat, D, C. And above that you've got this guitar melody, 3, 4, and so it's a beautiful thing where this melody is going up and the bass line is going down. Let's see if I can do it. So that's an example of using slash chords to get to show that the bass line is a melody. It's easy to overlook that when we just see a page of chord symbols. We just assume that the root of the chord is always going to be the lowest. There's a difference between when we say the root and when we say the bass note. The root is the letter name of the chord. So the root of this chord is still G, but the bass note is D. So we're trying to get kind of stepwise bass motion, even though the roots of the chords don't necessarily move that way. So one more time, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then in the bridge of that song, there's another usage of slash chords where you're asking me, will my love grow? Essentially, A is all of those chords, but the bass goes down. You're asking me, will my love grow? So to write a chart for that, we would say A over G sharp. And you could argue either way that this is A over F sharp, or we could just call it F sharp minor 7, and then A over E. It might be more clear to just name it A over G sharp, A over F sharp, A over E. That really makes it very obvious on paper what's happening. But I think some people would be more comfortable just calling this F sharp minor 7 because it is a conventional chord, whereas like this A over G sharp doesn't have a conventional name. We're not going to call it G sharp with a flat 6, flat 9, and 11. Like nobody's going to call it that. It's A over G sharp. But when we get to chords with conventional names, it's tempting to name them. Either way is fine. So then plain old D and G, and then there's this. And the A chord is kind of sustained throughout there. Now, nobody's playing this chord exactly, but there's orchestration, and this is essentially the chord there, and the bass just moves down chromatically. So I'm starting on open A, and then going to G sharp, G, F sharp, F, A. So if we were going to chart that out, we would say A over G sharp, A over G, A over F, A over F sharp, A over F, A over E. And then it does this walk down again. And then a different walk down from C. C, C over B, C over A, C over G, C over E. And then I wish we had lower notes to go, but it's E, D, C. So I'll play this whole section in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these would all be slash chords. C, well, not this one, but then C over B, C over A, C over G, C over E, C over D, and like that. So in that case, the slash chords are just showing us how the bass is moving while the chord is not. In this next example, I'll show you where the bass isn't moving and the chord is. And this comes from 8 Days a Week. It's the intro. So this is a D triad with a D in the bass, and then there's the D triad. And then E with D in the bass. And then G, same shape. So we would write that D, E over D, or E slash D, G over D, or G slash D, and back to D. So in that case, again, the bass is not moving, but the chords are moving. Okay, let's look at a couple more examples here. This next one, I need a capo for this. This is from The Long and Winding Road. So really this song is in E flat or C minor. I'm going to capo it and play it in as if it's in C. Now this is really a piano song. There's not guitar on the record. It's Paul McCartney at the piano, but this is an approximation of that. So it starts out long and wide, and then this is like a, so this, I would call this F over G. In the real key, it's A flat over B flat, but with the capo in mind and thinking of this in C, again, that's so there's a slash chord that's a little closer to what we saw in Naima. It's not the kind of slash chord we've seen in the other examples here, where you're trying to show the bass motion or the bass staying and the chord moving. It's just a kind of a modern chord. The Beatles didn't use this chord a whole lot, but here it is in Long and Winding Road. So it's, you could say this is G7 sus4. That note is the sus4, and it's got a 9 in it. So we could call this G9 sus or G9 sus4. But I would just call this F over G. And then now it goes C, C over B flat, F, F, C over E, A minor, D minor 7, G7, and then G minor 7 over C. So this is like, G minor 7, but with C in the bass. Then on the fourth beat, it changes to C. So all in time. 2, 3, 4. I know that stops right in the middle of the verse, but I wanted to keep these examples short-ish. You can keep going if you want to. This next example is from Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Sounds like this. So what are these chords? This is A with no third and slash E. So it's an A chord with no third, just root and fifth, and then with E in the bass. And then it goes to A7, also with no third, and now with the 7 in the bass. So A no third slash E, A7 no third slash G, D add 9. So I'm thinking of this as a D triad, but with the 9 on top, and then the F sharp on the bottom, and then D minor with F on the bottom. So again in time. Right, so A no third over E, A7 no third over G, D add 9 over F sharp, D minor over F. Okay, and then one more example I wanted to show you is from With a Little Help from My Friends. This is really neat. It's so subtle that you might miss it, but it always gives me a kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling when I hear it. So it's subtle, but real. So this is just the very end. So the song is in E, and so the so it's C but with G in the bass, and then A minor 6th, and then E with B in the bass. So if we don't use the slash chords and we just played straight chords, it would sound like this: 2, 3, 4. Which is cool, but it's really neat that the bass goes up even though the sound of the harmony is moving kind of down. Like, it goes from C to A minor to E. So that would feel like it's going down, but it doesn't feel like that because the bass goes up. G, A, B, and it ends that way. It's pretty unusual to end a song without the root on the bottom, but the Beatles did here. I always imagine that it's Paul McCartney making these choices because he is the bass player. But I wasn't there. I don't know how all these decisions were made, but they have real, I think, emotional impact, which is the whole That's what makes this so cool to work on this and look at this. So, you could take a simple progression that you're working on. Let's say you're a songwriter and you have C, A minor, F, G. So there it is, and I'm playing root in the bass, root in the bass, root in the bass, root in the bass. Let's try something else. So what if I go, we're going to pick alternate bass notes, but they have to be notes from the chord. So on the A minor, instead of going to A, maybe we do E. So C, A minor over E, and that's going to lead really nicely to F. So A minor over E, F, and then G. So now our bass line is this. Beautiful. Let's try another variation. So we could go C, A, and then on the F chord, instead of F in the bass, maybe we stay on A, because that's the third of F. And then we go to G. So now our bass line is boom, 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 boom. That's cool. It takes it away from feeling like everything is so blocky. Okay, let's do one more variation. So let's go C, E, A, B. So C, E, A, B, C, E, A, B. Just, freshens it up so it doesn't sound like all the other millions of songs that all use the same chords, right? So I hope you'll have fun with this. I know I left out a couple of iconic Beatles songs that also use slash chords, like Mother Nature's Son, which I hinted at in the intro, Dear Prudence. What else? What are some other Beatles songs that you can think of that use slash chords that I left out? I'm sure there are many. Okay, thanks for following along. Stay tuned and take good care.